It was already old when the sun was born, older than the Earth, older than the ground you are standing on right now. For something like 12 billion years, it drifted through the dark between the stars, through a galaxy that was still learning how to build planets around stars that have long since died. No sun to warm it, no world to land on, no one to see it, just cold and distance and an amount of time the human mind was never built to hold. And then, for a few short months, it passed through our neighborhood. We caught it. We pointed every telescope we had at it, and we studied it as hard as we could. And then we let it go. We gave it a name. We called it 3I Atlas. The third confirmed visitor from beyond our solar system that humanity has ever seen. This is the story of the oldest thing we have ever observed up close. How we found it, how we read its chemistry, and how, for a few strange weeks, we almost convinced ourselves it was something it wasn't. On the 1st of July, 2025, a survey telescope high in the mountains of Chile flagged a faint moving dot. It was called Atlas, a system built to scan the sky every night, hunting for asteroids that might one day threaten Earth. At first, the dot looked completely ordinary. Another faint comet drifting in from the outer dark, one of thousands we have catalogued. There was no reason to think it was special, but within days, 3 questions would form around it. And those 3 questions would haunt astronomers for the next 12 months. Why was it moving so impossibly fast? Why was its chemistry unlike anything in our entire solar system? And the question that escaped the observatories, spilled onto the news and went around the world. Was this object even natural at all? By the time it left us, we had answers to all 3, and not one of them was what we expected. Start with the speed, because the speed was the very first clue, and it was the one that gave the whole thing away. When astronomers traced the object's path backward, the numbers came back wrong, not broken, just impossible for a local comet. As it fell toward the sun, 3I Atlas was already moving at 58 kilometers per second. That is more than 130,000 miles an hour before the sun's gravity had pulled on it at all. A comet born here, around our sun, simply cannot reach that speed on its own. Even the hardest gravitational slingshot in the solar system, a close pass by Jupiter, adds only about 26 kilometers per second. And 3I Atlas hadn't even met Jupiter yet. There was only one explanation left. This object did not come from here. It was never ours to begin with. It came in on a steep, reversed path, falling through the plane of the planets from above, running backwards against the direction everything else orbits. A trajectory that pointed straight back at the thick disk of the Milky Way, the home of the galaxy's oldest stars. That was the first hint of the truth. This was not a comet passing through. This was a visitor, and it was old. For a few months, it behaved exactly like a comet should. It swung inward toward the sun, reaching its closest approach at the end of October 2025, cutting in just inside the orbit of Mars, close enough for the sun's heat to finally touch it. And the heat woke it up. Buried ice turned straight to gas. The object grew a glowing coma and a long bright tail, and for a while it looked like any other comet that had wandered too close to a star. Then, in March of 2026, it brushed past Jupiter and turned for home. Back out into the dark, almost perfectly symmetrical to the way it had come in. Patient, indifferent, already leaving. It was going, and it was never coming back. Which meant we had one last chance to ask it the only question that mattered. Where are you from? So, as it slipped back toward interstellar space, we aimed the most powerful telescope ever built directly at it, the James Webb Space Telescope. One last look before it was gone for good. Webb did not simply photograph the comet. It did something far stranger and far more powerful. It read it. It caught the light pouring off the comet's gas and split it apart into a spectrum, and then it started counting atoms. The first thing it found was water, but not the water you know. The water streaming off 3I Atlas was loaded with deuterium, a heavy form of hydrogen, an atom carrying one extra neutron. And the amount was staggering. More than 10 times as much heavy water as any comet from our solar system. More than 40 times the level in Earth's own oceans. That ratio is a fingerprint, and it only forms in one kind of place. Somewhere brutally, almost unimaginably cold. Around -243 degrees Celsius. That is just 30 degrees above absolute zero, the coldest temperature the universe physically allows to exist. But the heavy water was only half the story. The real clock, the thing that finally told us how old this object was hidden in the carbon. Webb measured the carbon venting off the comet and found it was strangely, almost completely missing its heavier version, carbon-13. And here is why that matters. Carbon-13 is not made in comets. It is forged inside stars. Generation after generation of stars are born, burn, die, and seed the galaxy with a little more carbon-13 each time. So the less of it an object contains, the further back toward the beginning of the galaxy it must have formed. 3I Atlas contained almost none. It was made before the stars had time to fill the galaxy with it. This is no longer a guess, it is a measurement. According to the study published in the journal Nature, this comet formed roughly 12 billion years ago. Let that number settle for a moment because it is hard to hold. Our Sun is 4.5 billion years old. The Earth is the same. Almost everything you have ever seen, touched, or loved formed inside that window of time. 3I Atlas predates all of it by more than 7 billion years. It was already ancient when the cloud of gas that became our Sun first began to collapse. It was born during what astronomers call cosmic noon, the era when the young universe was building stars faster than at any time before or since. Long before our Sun was even a possibility, in a colder and stranger corner of the galaxy than anything near us. It formed around some other star, in some other system that no longer exists. And then, somehow, it was thrown out, flung free of its home, and cast into the dark between the stars to wander alone. Imagine that journey. Not a year, not a million years. For 12 billion years, it fell through interstellar space, past the birth and death of countless stars, through the slow turning of the entire galaxy, carrying its frozen chemistry sealed and untouched, like a letter written at the dawn of the universe that was never once opened, until it grazed our Sun for a few months in 2025. And we, by pure chance, were here, with the right machine at the right moment to finally break the seal and read it. But there is another version of this story. The one that made the headlines first, and the one a lot of people still remember. Because when 3I Atlas appeared, moving that fast on that impossible reversed orbit, a prominent Harvard astrophysicist said out loud what some people were already quietly thinking. What if it wasn't a comet at all? What if it was a probe, something deliberately built, sent here by someone? He listed what he called anomalies, the unusual jets, the strange alignments, the improbable timing of its path through the solar system. It was a provocative idea, but it was also, in fairness, a serious question. And a serious question deserves a serious answer. So, we gave it one. A radio observatory in California turned its full array on the object and simply listened for more than 7 hours across a huge range of frequencies. If anything on or near 3I Atlas had been transmitting, even something as faint as a household appliance, we would have heard it. There was nothing. No signal, no transmitter, only silence, and the natural chemistry of a very, very old comet behaving exactly as the laws of physics said it should. It was not a ship. The evidence had been clear in the end, almost from the start. It was something stranger than a ship, and far, far older than anything we could ever build. 3I Atlas is gone now. It is climbing back out of the solar system at more than 60 kilometers per second on a one-way path that will never bend back toward us again. In a few years, it will be too faint for even our best telescopes to see. In a few thousand, it will be lost completely in the same darkness it came from, carrying its 12-billion-year-old chemistry onward, unchanged, exactly as it has for nearly the entire history of the universe. We had it for a few months. We learned its age, its temperature, the ancient corner of the galaxy that made it. We asked it everything we could think to ask, and then we watched it leave. And here is the part that stays with me. 3I Atlas is only the third interstellar object we have ever caught, out of an entire galaxy. The third. New telescopes are coming online right now, instruments powerful enough to find dozens more of these visitors in the years ahead. Older ones, stranger ones, objects from corners of the galaxy we have never once glimpsed, which means 3I Atlas was never a once-in-a-lifetime event. It was simply the first one we were ready for. The galaxy has been quietly sending these ancient travelers past us for billions of years, older than our sun, older than our world, older than almost everything, drifting through on their way to somewhere else, whether we were watching or not.